with him after the service. He came and sat down behind me in the hall there, and we had a kind of a discussion on things, and I mentioned to him that I had looked around for a long time, being brought up in the Lutheran Church when I was a child, and confirmed and baptized and married in the church and all this sort of stuff. But I finally drifted away from the Lutheran Church when I realized it was basically Catholic light, and I never did remember anything that was preached there or taught there. Nothing. It just seemed to be empty. I started listening to Herbert W. Armstrong in the late 1960s, 70s, driving around the truck in the oil fields. In the evening, I'd hear him on there, and he got my ear too. I was interested in how he presented things. Basically, one of the reasons I became convinced about the Living Church of God is that they well, for one thing, they don't have any churches at all. They just rent places, and they're basically an internet church, and a CD. Everything's on CDs and internet. And except they do have pastors in every province and a big city town and whatever. And so they're basically sort of a mainline church, but they're not large. But the thing is, they brought to my attention that the idea of, first of all, was the churches, main churches and Catholics all teach, that people, when they die, they go to heaven or to hell, and all this sort of stuff. I was told that all my life, and I never paid any attention to it because I didn't think about it. I just heard it. That's what they said. I'd go to a funeral, and my relations would say, "Oh yeah, but he's in a better place now, and he's in heaven now." And I used to think, I don't know. Anyway, they pointed out that Jesus Christ said that there's no one has gone to heaven except the one who came from heaven. And that was an eye-opener to me because that made sense. The fact that Jesus came to this earth to save the people of this earth if they believed in him. And it's funny that that's what it takes. It doesn't take somebody packing a load up a hill 10 times a day to do it. None of that. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter. It all depends on your belief and your faith and your belief in your heart that Christ actually did come, born on this earth and died for the sins of the world. He came also to, I don't know, to save or to preach to or whatever the lost tribes of Israel. And when you get into that and start realizing that there's a Israelite nation race all around the world from all the 10 or the 12 tribes of Israel, and that they dispersed and went into Europe and built up their populations and then ended up immigrating to North America and Australia and a few other places. And basically it looks like the Israelites were a white race of some kind, I guess. And, that's very interesting. I mean, they were the only race that actually tried to evangelize the world, bring the gospel to Africa, everywhere else. No other race of people did that. And it does make it so much more reasonable when I realize that Jesus said that when you die, you go to sleep with your fathers until you're called, if you're called. And if you believe in Jesus and you believe he died for your sins and came here and did that and believed the gospel, that's what the gospel is. Then you should be called. I arranged to get baptized there a few months ago, which was not quite a thing. Well, it came about. I'd been supposed to have been baptized when I was a baby, but that was just the Lutheran sprinkling, Catholic sprinkling, or whatever you call it. I didn't consider that to be a real baptism. And not that baptism is a thing that makes a big difference, but the way things are going nowadays, I'm planning on a trip to Sweden here in a couple of months, but that'll be about it. The conditions you see all around you, and it's really rampant in the United States, how determined they are to destroy themselves, practically. No matter what happens or how good they got it, they just complain bitterly. Fight and complain. And people are murdering their babies as every day, just more and more. Every kind of deviation going on that you can imagine. People forcing kids to decide if they're a girl or a boy, or whether a girl or a boy, when they're young and don't know any better, and twisting their minds until they become deviant. And it seems like it's just the devil or whatever doing this in people. And it may be that is a result of all the stuff that's gone on. Feminism, for one thing, trying to rule men, and not supposed to do that. But that's modern now. But I don't think there's anything modern about God's laws. They are historically cosmic laws. They don't change one iota for anybody. And the other thing I talked to this preacher or pastor or whoever he was from Living Church. I said I was concerned that I liked your church. I liked everything you preach except for two things. And I said, I don't think that makes a difference to salvation deals or anything like that. But I said, it bothers me that I can read in the Bible, actually read it, it's not my idea, that on the sixth day God created male and female. And the series he went through, the stages he went through with the creation of them was a certain way. And then God rested. Obviously, who knows, 1,000, 2,000 years or whatever. And then he created Adam. The first creation was basically hunters and fishers. That's the way it reads, really. And Adam was basically a husbandman, or whatever the translated to, or a farmer. Somebody who would till the land. And when I read it, it is absolutely two different events. And no preachers are the politically correct answer every time. Oh no, that's just a continuation of the first. And I said, bull. It is not, because it is two different scenarios totally. Everything is done in a different scenario. The animals are coming at a different time. All the stuff is different. It's not the same. And it explains aboriginals. It explains all kinds of things. It explains the races and everything like that. And I don't see anything racist about it at all. It's just a fact. It's a racial deal, not racist. And otherwise, why would the Bible be basically wrote about the story of Adam? Why not everybody else? The chosen people are not the Jews necessarily. Chosen people are the 12 tribes of Israel. The Jews are one tribe of Judah, and the other 11, well, it was the tribe of Judah and Benjamin in southern Israel or whatever, and the other 10 tribes were Israel. I believe that the Jews in Israel are just called Jews. They're of every nation and stripe you can think of. They're not from Judah. They call themselves Jews, but Jesus even said they call themselves Jews, but they're not Jews. Yeah, and it really is quite a thing when you get to a point in your life where that whole question of Jesus Christ is settled, and you don't have to wander or think about it or contemplate it or whatever anymore. You know perfectly well that it's true that he is Jesus Christ, and that you are not to be ashamed of him, and you're supposed to let him know what you think quite often. In fact, you're supposed to ask for his kingdom to come. It says, pray your kingdom to come. Your kingdom come. We're supposed to do that. I don't know how often we do that, but the other thing, of course, is the flood. The flood, I'm quite sure the flood was local. And it was not a world flood that was above the mountaintops. Couldn't have been. It could have been over the hills and whatever they had in Judea and Jordan and whatever, and Egypt and whatever there. Because the flood, Noah's flood, was approximately 6,000 years ago. The Chinese have a history going back over 10,000 years. And all the different races are here, they're still here. So I kind of think it was what the story of Noah is true, I believe. Only they considered their area the world. Their world. Not the whole, it was not the whole world, but their world was flooded. And that could have easily been like that, because it's a hard thing for me to swallow. I don't know. I believe in a flood. There's a flood, but I don't think it was worldwide. And it did kill everyone in that area, wiped them out. Then there's also the theory of, well, the sin of Adam. Doesn't appear to me, or I don't think it was somebody eating an apple. I think the sin was much more than that. The sin was Eve being seduced by Satan, I guess, and had a son named Cain. And then Adam also had intercourse with her or whatever, so she had another son, Abel. And they were both I don't know if that's true though. Is it twins or separate or what? I can't remember that. But that's a hard one to figure out. The knowledge of good and evil, okay, that's understandable. A person can understand that. Now, humans weren't able to handle the power of judging between good and evil, and I still don't. I think we still have a problem with that. We have a tendency, a carnal mind, to choose evil over good. Just about everybody has that. But it's interesting to see how things are going in the world. Not that it's going to go as fast as everyone thinks, and yet it could. It could actually just start changing so fast. And the way it's going, there's not much left that people can do to spit in God's eye. They have done just about everything that you possibly can do. Continuous lies, just nothing but lies. And knowing that they can do a big lie and people are gullible enough to believe it, because that's the nature of human nature. Usually people want to believe the worst about anyone, not the good, always the worst. And so when you read Revelation, I guess it's 20 or something like that, about the city of God that will come to this earth, and realize what is going on with that. I mean, you talk about big projects and big things. I mean, I've been involved in construction and stuff like that for most of my life, I guess. Different ways. But when you consider something about 1,500 miles square and 1,500 miles high, I mean, you can't fathom that. And from what I understand from scientists and whatever, they say that there would have to be no gravity on Earth for that kind of a building to be able to stand. Because if it had this the gravity that it has now, it would pull itself down. But maybe everything's going to be in spirit form at that time. There's no humans of any kind. They'll all be spirit form, and little gravity would not come into play, really. And it gets me that of all the universe, the whole universe, the whole universe, I've read someplace where it says that actually the Earth is in a very favored position to view the universe. That its actual position gives it that window. But to think that the God of the universe, who is capable of making universes and all the things, whatever, would choose this planet and people that he created to make it his home. And it's unbelievable. I have a hunch that there has been or will be approximately 75 billion people who have been born and died on this planet. And out of that, I don't know how many will be in the resurrection, of the first and second resurrection. I don't know how many. I think there's going to be quite a few, because God says he doesn't want any to perish. And he may make it in a certain way, but 75 billion, would that, how many people or how many entities could be in a building 1,500 miles square and 15 miles high? Quite a few, I suppose. But I'm sure there's not going to be all, because there is people who are absolutely against God, absolutely incorrigible, absolutely have condemned themselves. As Jesus said, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ and whatever, you are condemned already. And the business of saying that there's many ways to be saved, and we go to heaven, and da. I don't think so. He says no. He said Jesus says the only way to the Father and to heaven. And if he's the Creator and whatever, and there is only one way. He's the Creator. He's the one you have to believe. If you don't believe with him, then you have nothing. So I don't know. I can't. I've never been able to get a scenario in my mind what it would be like to exist in a place that size. It would be a very glorious place of some kind. And outside there's no mountains anymore, and there's no sea. And I don't know. The desert's going to bloom, he says again, and all that. It's really amazing. Very amazing to think that. One thing I've considered is I've read several places, and I imagine many others have too, where Jesus said that so and so and so and so is so whatever, and he will be the least in the kingdom of heaven. And then he talks about someone else who will be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So obviously there's going to be those who are class 1 and class 8 and 6 and 10 and whatever. That's maybe how it's going to be. Maybe certain people are going to, because he said, I'm coming with my rewards, and I have my rewards with me. And his rewards are your works. Your works do not save you. I guess your works can get you rewards if you believe and are saved. So, what these rewards are, I don't know. It's most likely some kind of a reward of classification or what would it be? Generals, lieutenants, and or whatever. You're a higher or lower caste, or you're in charge of this, and you're in charge of that, or others are lesser in charge, but they are all the same in one way. Yeah. There is no male or female, because the womb is not required anymore. So everyone will be in the form of a young male angel type. That's what they understand they will look like. And yeah, there won't be male or female there, because that would just be a situation that cause chaos. And there can be no chaos in God's kingdom. None. I watch the goings on in the United States, and it is, I've never paid attention like that before in my life. And I've been watching and watching the carryings on of parties, and it's unbelievable. And I'm very impressed, really, with Donald Trump and how he came along at a certain time in the United States. Never run for politics before, was not a politician, who is basically an open book. He doesn't have any built-in in other words, he says what's on his mind without any pretense, and that just throws the rest of them all to pieces, because they can't stand that. Because the politicians have to have a motives to everything they say, and basically lie about it. And I mean, he gets into trouble over it, but he also is very refreshing to a lot of people, and I can see that when I watch his rallies, I have never seen anything like that. I mean, how can that guy get thousands and thousands and thousands of people to a rally, and I don't know how many thousands outside that can't even get in every time he has one? And you know, that's a strange thing that he has that kind of drawing power, and how they are out absolutely determined to destroy him one way or the other, even though he was legally elected and everything else. And these people are just absolutely hell-bent on trying to destroy him, and yet they can't touch him, really, even though they try every lying, slimy way to do it. Mind you, I have no faith in our Prime Minister, that's for sure. I can't believe that we have that kind of a Prime Minister. If that's the sign of the times, that we have somebody that is a feminist, a male feminist who wants a feminist deal, and totally, he believes more in pagan stuff than anything else. He's absolutely the wrong person. Except I guess maybe that's what we deserve. But he's definitely the wrong person. I don't know. I hope people wake up and get rid of him next time for sure. Mind you, well, he's bad. I've never seen anything as bad as that in all my life. 84 years, I've never seen anything like that. Mind you, I can't be surprised because that's the way things are going, and I got to realize that that's part of the plan, and there's nothing I can do about it, or anyone else. It can upset me to no end, but I can't do anything about it. It's much better if I understand that it's part of the plan and observe it and realize that God's at work, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to let things, people are going to get their just rewards, because everything that people do are basically the same things that Satan would do, because people are carnal and they would rather do things like that than God's way. And they're getting more and more like that all the time. They're just, And I notice people, the more money people have, the more unbelieving they are. Yeah, it's just no end. Oh, 33 minutes. It's enough. Thank you very much.